New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev Briz and Rev Elzia and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
And this is Ministers Talking Shit. That means it's a Friday morning, 7 a.m. on the Mountain Time Zone. And we're so grateful you're with us. It just flashed on me. It may not be 7 a.m. Mountain Time where you're watching or when you're watching, but that's okay. We're really grateful that you're with us either way. All right, Z, the question of the week. Is it cold enough for you?
Oh my God, it's getting warm, but it ain't there yet. I mean, it's like 14 or something this morning, 13 or something this morning. Supposed to get up to 50 or whatever, but I can do with some heat.
Exactly. I thought about it. I love living in Colorado because normally the snow is gone within a couple of days, and not this time around. We've got this dirty, nasty, frozen mush left laying around. You on the East Coast, you all are used to this kind of stuff. You know, people north of us get used to this, but I love Colorado because it snows and then it's gone, and that didn't happen this time around.
Yes,
kind of like presidential politics.
Oh God, yes.
It snows and then they're gone, and then they're not. They're coming back around again.
Yeah. I guess you could say that's what happened to Nikki Haley.
Well,
she
said something pretty stupid this week. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, she in Iowa, they asked her about was the Republican Party, and she had a great out. They asked it was the Republican Party racist. She came back and said, well, this country has never been racist. And he went on and gave some elaboration, and they let it go. Well, they had a town hall meeting last night in New Hampshire where the next primary will take place on Monday. And they asked her, they gave it a little more oomph this time. They asked her, does she think that they're racist? And she said that includes, and the moderator said that includes slavery. She doubled down and said, no, it was never racist, and that the intent of the founding fathers was not racist. And they gave her out. They gave her a nice little bunt, and she didn't take it. And she doubled down. And my question would be, in the Constitution of 1787, there is, and people are now trying to debate it, right? But there is written language in the Constitution, Article 1, that says blacks will be considered as 3/5 of a man or a person, or however you want to genderify the language, right? But the intent was that they were less of a person because, one, of voting rights, but two, in terms of all rights, because they were looked upon as property, not as a human.
Right.
So there's a little tongue in cheek going on there, but for her to step into that quagmire is quite interesting.
I look at the Republican Party, and we've got a drifter con man in the lead, and and a couple of Southern cousins named Nit and Wit running against him. Because to me, that is so incredibly tone deaf, because we are in a period right now where this country is finally coming to hopefully, I thought we were at least moving closer to some sort of true healing and reconciliation and remuneration. And to come out and say that the country has never been a racist country is just a blatant lie. We know that. And whether you want to say pockets of, or, well, not my family, or we know that at its core, this country has survived, has been built on, has it's idiocy like this that I don't know. It gets us in trouble, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it does. It really, and the challenge becomes when you know, and I would encourage everyone to go read it for themselves. It's Article 1, Section 2 of the 1787 Constitution. But I don't try to hold anybody to being perfect, all right?
Right.
But I do, myself included, excuse me, like to hold myself. If I make a mistake, try to rectify it, try to own up to it. And you know, if you catch me in a blatant lie and I keep trying to justify that, at some point you're going to say, I'm done with that dude. And I'm not going to trust anything else he says. And that's where we are right now.
If you are so blind that you can't see that comment as causing a, quote, racial stir or conversation, then you might just be a racist, Nikki Haley.
Right. Well, and of course, because she's brown, she will say she's not. And so, I mean, you know, in this new year, right? You know, one of the themes that we have is this whole idea of a grand rising, this of recreating ourselves, of rising new, right? So we have a perfect time right now. It's being highlighted by this 2024 election cycle for us to begin to look at things a little differently, not do the same old thing, and begin. We got a great opportunity to really ask the tough questions, and answer them as best we can. And if we don't know the answer, say time out. I'm gonna go do some research because I'm not quite sure what you're asking, or I'm not sure how to answer. But we we have to begin to stretch a little bit and not just fall back into the same old patterns.
Yes.
I mean,
keep going.
I was going to say, you know, and I don't want to switch the subject, so but I just want to give an example. Believe it or not, the Congress averted another shutdown of the government yesterday, right? Okay. That statement should never be said again in the next 10 years. And we've said it at least twice in the last 6 months.
We say it every 3 months. Yeah.
You know, so now we have presidential candidates who come up and say this country is not a racist country, or was not a racist country. I mean, was, is, I mean, you take your pick. There's still some stuff that needs to be fixed, and we should be about fixing it as opposed to trying to you know, make amends for it or cover up it, or I don't know what the heck she was doing, but it was blatant wrong.
It's playing to the base, to the fear. It's trying to be another crazy. Yeah. Let's say good morning to a few people. Good morning, Linda. Good to see you, dear one. Grateful that you are with us. Brother Wayne gives me some. I see what you did there, Wayne. That's cute. Thank you for that. Sorry for the Facebook user. We don't know who you are. There should be a little link in the description of the program that allows you to authorize Facebook to tell us who you are. Good morning from San Jose. Grateful you're with us as well. I want to say thank you. It's my favorite podcast as well. So I love hanging out on Friday mornings with my brother Elzia. And you know, Z, to me, this whole thing, it's let's look to the 12-step movement. You got to admit you got a problem.
Yes.
I came to the point where I realized my false beliefs about white superiority no longer serve me. And we've got to look towards we've got to look toward a way of coming to understand that my way isn't always necessarily the best way.
Yeah.
And saying we're not a racist country it is just perpetuating a lie.
Right.
And we all know it. And the only reason to then continue to perpetuate a lie is to try to convince other people that you're right and they're not. And I don't understand it. I don't see how many points did she drop in the polls this morning?
I don't know. I don't think, I mean, she's right now, she's only a few points away from the front runner. And I think there's like a 39, 32 or 38, 33 or something like that. I didn't look this morning to see how that town hall last night went.
Yeah.
But you know, here's a funny thing, right? Our governmental system, and again, we've said this before about the whole idea of something that I had to take. I'm thinking you had to take civics, right? To understand what civics mean in terms of the civility of the country, in terms of how laws are made, governed, and everything. And when you take on certain roles and responsibilities like law enforcement and those things, that that nobody forces you unless there's a draft, right? But you know, they just released, the DOJ just released its final report on the Uvalde shooting.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the whole while the police department was saying, no, we did, you know, we made some mistakes, but we did, you know, we were playing by the book, so to speak. And I don't know if I knew or if I realized that they were in that building for 77 minutes and did nothing.
Yeah.
Over an hour, almost an hour and a half, and they did nothing. And the guy was still shooting. Now, you know, that's an active shooter, not a barricaded shooter where you can wait him out. And you know, the value, the values and the values of the country are definitely changing, and the value of human life has changed, and we need to go back to some of these basic human rights stuff. You know, let's go back to the human rights and not all this Republican rights or Democrat rights or this, that, or the other. Let's just all agree upon, which we shouldn't have a problem. We're all human. Let's start there.
Yes. And I think you make a great distinction, right? Congress kicking the can down the road on the spending package to make sure that China keeps lending us money is one story. But alienating, perhaps even re-traumatizing many by claiming this country doesn't have a racist history is a human rights problem.
Yes.
People of color, blacks, Asians, whatever, I mean, whatever color, whatever hue, whatever, people that ain't white need to be recognized as human. not 3/5 of a human. Not okay, we'll give you 85% of a human, right? All right, we'll negotiate it up a little. We'll give you a couple extra points for the next election. No, and anything that isn't working towards that reconciliation, anything that isn't working towards that healing, is working against that healing.
Yeah.
Nikki Haley's working against the people of the United States, not on behalf of. She's operating on behalf of a small minority of people in the United States. Maybe that's what we need to do. Just start walking around calling white Republicans the minority. Let's see what they do. Sorry, can't do that. But
you make a point in my mind, is that the languaging, we have to begin to at least start there with changing. Like when it upsets me when I hear the newscasters on these election nights, the battle state. It's like the moment I hear battle, even if I'm not even involved, I'm already tensed up now because I know what battle means.
Yeah.
Right. Why can't we, I know they're trying to get ratings, but ratings at the result of stirring up a hornet's nest, if you will. I think we could dial that back a little bit, maybe.
Right. Well, when you say something like that, battleground, half of the, all right, let's get rid of the numbers. A certain portion of the population is going to go, oh shit, no. And a certain portion of the population is going to say, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's inflammatory and divisive all at the same time.
Yeah. And it's going on all over the world. I mean, you think about all of the stuff. I mean, if people could take a wider view, you think about all of the stuff we got going on over here. Then you think about all of the stuff that's going on over in the Ukraine, Russia.
Mm-hmm.
You think about all of the stuff that's going on now in the Middle East, right? Netanyahu just said the other day he doesn't see a place for a post, whatever this thing is, for a Palestinian state, right?
Right.
And then you get over to the Asian region. China is saying something the other day that at some point that confrontation between them and Taiwan is going to happen, right?
Yeah, I heard that.
Right, and then you got North Korea continually shooting off rockets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you were to look at a map and you look at the different places where these to-ing and fro-ings are going on, if you will, we are in a very tenuous spot for this planet, for humanity. And that's why I just advocate so much. We have to recognize the humanness of us all and begin to work from that basis things like, not having enough food to eat, right? Or not having a decent place. Nobody's saying you need a 20-bedroom mansion, but to have a common place for a family or individual to sleep that's comfortable and out of the elements, that should not be a problem.
Right. Yes, I agree. It should not be a problem.
And tell them about that story, just to show you the idiocy of it. Tell them about that story we were talking about the street signs or something that blew my mind.
Folks, and this is a story. I hesitated opening the story because I saw the headline yesterday and I thought to myself, all right, well, that's pretty silly. And right before we went live, I did open this story and look, and it caused me a little bit of a rant. So the Federal Highway Commission yesterday announced that states would no longer be able to put funny or catchy or confusing signs on their highway signs. So now remember, these are these big, huge signs that hang over top of the highway. Electronic, the messages can change. It's often used to update you of upcoming travel restrictions or problems. And along the way, some of the states have adopted some funny ones. In Massachusetts, there's one that they use often, says "Use your blinker," well, the commission decided these are unsafe. If you're not from the Boston area, if you don't understand that, something that says "use your blinker" could be confusing. What the heck's that mean? I don't get the word spelled Y-E-R, and so they decided this has to end. Okay. Here's the kicker. They gave states 2 years to make the changes. These are computer-operated signs. These things can be changed in a moment's notice. You can go delete the file that says "use your blinker," and it won't show up on the site anymore. You tell some kid in IT to go change the schedule and get rid of those messages. You rewrite your script for your signs. Why? I cannot understand for the life of me what would take 2 years to change a sign. And I'll even give you, let's say it's one of those big heavy duty signs that, highway signs that it is printed on metal, and even that, give them 30 days, go take the damn thing down. But to me, this is it runs similar to the whole conversation we're having in Congress about funding the United States. Why does it take so incredibly long to make some pretty obvious decisions? And not even make the decision, but to implement. There should be a better timeline to implement these things. And right now, we're not using our blinkers, that's for sure. But I apologize to anybody that lives in the Northeast. But we're not using our blinkers. We're not using our heads. It's like we're just kind of bumbling around in the middle of the night, and I'll get to that someday. And I could, okay, yeah, we'll get to the signs when we get to the sides. Get off my back. Well, let's talk about the debt to China, and let's talk about something needs to be happening, and
right.
Not, we give you 2 years to get it figured out. If they gave us 2 years to change a sign, how long do they think it's going to take to change our economy?
Yes.
They think this is a lifetime job. We got to get this shit going.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the point, right? The point that if we act very frivolously and unresponsive to simple things where there should be minimal debate and minimal lead time to get it done, what is happening when we have to balance the budget? That's trillions of dollars. What happens when we have to decide on how we are going to deal with educational curriculum, which is supposed to be one of the mainstays of our economy or our country? Come here and be educated, and you can write your own ticket. Well, not anymore, because we can't figure out what the basics are. There used to be reading, writing, and arithmetic, and we used everything to get that right. Now,
and we call those the 3 R's. RWA, the 3 R's. What? Old rant of mine, old pet peeve of mine.
So certain things like that should be basic, but now we're beginning to take things out of the history, so people will forget. The negative side, if you will, of human nature will kick in, and people will begin to continue to separate and start blaming others when things that they're supposed to take care of don't take place. And we'll be right back where we used to be, or even further back, And again, at a human rights level, these are some things that we can put down as basic. You need to have this, that, and the other, regardless.
You just struck in me a reminder. In this country, we have completely lost touch with the reality, the truth of our history. I saw one of those. I was watching one of those videos this week that has a man in the street type reporter, and they focus in on, and there's a lot of people that are doing this now. They focus in on talking to everyday MAGA supporters. So people in line at a Trump rally, people in line waiting to go into it, and they have a camera and a microphone, and they're journalists, and they get these people involved in a conversation, and they start asking questions, and they interview them. And I saw one where the journalist was asking, what started the United States Civil War? Z, you would have been appalled. Your jaw would have been on the friggin' floor. I was yelling at the TV, and I don't yell at the TV. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Not one person was willing to say slavery.
Wow.
Like, people were all over the place with, one person did say it was about states' rights. One person did kind of hem and haw, and then eventually kind of came around to, like, after a minute of well, it was I guess I really have to say, well, but I don't know for sure, but I guess I should probably say slavery, huh? And what still was looking for a way out of saying,
oh my
God,
God,
slavery was the direct cause. Were there other factors? Sure. Was slavery one of them? Yes. And these people, and this guy didn't have just one. He had a dozen of them that wouldn't speak the truth or didn't know it.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. I agree that we are not willing at this day and age, in this level of technology and access and all of that, we are not willing to state the facts. Now, people might say, well, history is written by those who wrote it or who won. I mean, there's a lot of different things about trying to give disparity among history, but you can look at it and you can see that certain things took place, and to deny that gives people permission to stay in this denial attitude and start denying things that, it's pouring down rain. No, it ain't raining. What you mean it ain't raining? It's flooding. No, it ain't raining though. I mean, that's the kind of idiocy that is taking place when we start denying history, whether it's, put us in a good light or a bad light. And once we can begin to just tell a true story, I mean, I think, last thing here, I think 2024 is about recasting the story of who and what we are, because the story up to now hasn't served us.
I hope so. Yes. Yes, I'm on board with contributing to that vision. Absolutely. Because we look like a bunch of 3-year-olds. You're a poo-poo head. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. It's right. That's what we look like right now. And I can't imagine how other countries have any respect left for the United States at this point, with the way our political discourse is. And it's not just politics. It's not just who's paying the debt. It's not just about road signs. This is about Black Lives Matter. This is about human rights. This is about supporting our LGBTQIA community. It is about all of that. And we continually want to get stuck in We've never been a
You
racist
know,
country.
some, you know, to say that a plant needs rain and not soil is just stupid, right? Or I'll take that back, because you can grow hydroponically now. So
Yeah, we got to
to
take that
say
one.
that to say that a plant needs water and not light, I won't even say sunlight, because you can get a grow light. To say
Right.
that and think that you're going to be correct is incorrect, right? And so for
Yep.
us to begin to start making these kinds of statements that are uh,
And to try to
totalitarian,
make
if you
it
will.
correct only hurts and damages the plant.
Yes.
To try to grow a
Yes.
plant in the dark with nothing but water only kills the plant.
Yes. Yes. And we look at that and do just what you said. We in various reasons. I mean, various reigns, if you will, or areas of trying to grow plants with only water in the darkness, or plenty of sunlight and no water. I mean, you know, or all these different analogies that say, hey, it's both and. We have to look at all the things, and we can't just try to paint a picture the way we want it to be categorically. Yes, we do want to create a picture or a new story that's progressive and moving forward and inclusive, but we can't do that to the exclusion that if we do these couple of things, that's going to destroy the idea at its inception.
Right. We need to find
You
a
know,
way. So here's what I'm coming back to is Nikki Haley says she doesn't believe the U.S. was ever a racist country. Nikki, we need to get you back into school. We need to get you some better education. We need to get you some better information. Like, how do we get better information into the hands of the people that want to lead this country, that want to, and it's kind of interesting. We could easily, and I could easily go down the rant of here's everything Marianne Williamson stands for, which is the polar opposite of everything Nikki Haley stands for. And there is a viable, I'm going to keep saying it, Marianne Williamson is a viable candidate in this election. Not because I happen to do an interview with her, not because I've met her, not because I like her, because I think her politics speak to both sides of the aisle, not the far right and not the far left, but speaks to that centrist place that says we have to start informing our politics with a more mature and conscious conversation. Language matters. The words we use matters. Putting people down hurts. I can't tell you. There was and I'm not even doing my work because I don't know the other guy, but there's another guy in the in the Democratic trying to make a wave in the Democratic Party, and both he and Marianne are basically jokes to the mainstream media. They've become the punchline to jokes to the mainstream media when they're speaking the most centric perspective of what this country, and at least Marianne is speaking to the vision of how we fix this stuff. If you can't admit you got a problem, you got a problem. And America has a tough time admitting our problems.
One thing we said before we were on the air, when we seriously look at what could have been a left-hand turn or right-hand turn, depending on where you're standing, that took this country out of the race, if you will, for being the shining light of what society and government should be. When everything became based on material, capitalism, and power, that destroyed it. Because the moment I start getting into only a capitalist and materialistic thing, power automatically comes in, and then everything looks like a resource, and nothing looks like a human being or animal. It's purely a resource. And how do I use that resource to get more capital and power? And at that point, some of the common sense things just go out the window.
Yep. Give me money, give me power, give me sex, give me rock and roll, give me whatever drug is my drug. And my very first teacher in this philosophy used to say something that stuck with me. No matter how far you may have traveled down the wrong road, it's not too late to turn around and go back.
Yes.
And if we continue, whether you're Republican or a Democrat, whether you're red, blue, or purple, whether you're green, yellow, or black, whether you're whatever, no matter what choices, preferences, deeply held beliefs, or ingrained concepts, at the end of the day, we're still all human.
Yeah.
Unless there's some aliens mixed in we don't know about, but that's another story for another show on another station.
And I would invite. They used to have this term called natural religion or natural philosophy, natural theology. It came across in different slave flavors, if you will. But the central idea was to observe and witness nature to get a better understanding how life should be lived, right? In terms of recognizing and respecting the various parts of nature, how they fit together, how they support one another, and that when we understand this whole concept called life or evolutionary life, we understand that there are certain things that will happen, i.e., we make a transition that might not make us feel good, but everything has that evolutionary process in place. Then we begin to not focus on things that are part of the natural maturation of life. We begin to figure out, well, I know I'm going to die. Let's figure out how I can have the best life while I'm alive. Let's figure out, even when I die, what's the best way for me to leave a legacy of upliftment and support and honor that will continue on in that evolutionary fashion. Not let me get how many toys and see who fights over them to get the boat and get the house, or some of this other silly stuff where we don't respect the natural maturation of life itself. And that's a little bit of a rant, but when I think about all of the killing that's going on and all of the conflicts and the Houthis and all this bombs, and at some point this stuff is going, you can't keep pouring water in the cup. Pretty soon it's going to overflow. And when it does, now you got a bigger mess.
Unless you're in the fast food industry and then you just make it a triple supersize and make it sell more, and it never overflows. You can never make it too big. Do you like that as a single, double, triple, or a heart attack with your burger there, sir? Just like a regular single old burger, that's fine. Maybe I'm a little old, I don't know. But, our friend Linda says that generally politics is about power, not wisdom. Yep. I'm reminded of the words, I think it was Edward Abbey that originally said, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes.
And therefore, we must question all authority all the time. Always question all authority all the time. And it doesn't mean that the authority is wrong, but we can't just go along to get along with authority. We have people in this country that can't articulate that the United States Civil War was started in part by slavery. How are we ever going to get people to admit that same consciousness was alive in this country and still is, and needs to be excised and healed? And and needs to, and reparations are in order, and all of the things that we have to do to bring this country back to a true state of oneness. It's not just going to happen if we sit on our ass and wait. It's not going to happen through, there's a golf course outside of the Salt Lake City airport. It was a really bad idea to start with, and it never did work. And eventually it became abandoned. And now it's a ripe, thriving, natural water wetlands, and the birds are repopulating, and you can't even tell there was a golf course there. But that took a while. And in the course of human history, human consciousness is going to take a lot longer to reseed itself, to replant itself, to grow over the scars of humanity. It's going to take a lot longer to do that in human consciousness than it takes for plants to grow, if you will. So, given our natural analogy today, yeah, we could just sit around and do nothing for the next 150 years, and maybe we'd be getting closer to nature and the reality of who we are as humans. However, I kind of like the toys. I kind of like having nice tech. I kind of like being able to get in a car and go visit friends a few hours away. I like where we have grown into. It wouldn't be hard, truthfully, to change the consciousness of humanity and recognize that we were a racist country, no question about it, but I'm doing better. We're getting there. We're working towards it, just like those that have been addicted to other things.
Yep. And as for me, as a capstone, horse and buggy travel is still available.
Yeah.
If that's the way you want to travel, I'm not going to criticize you. I might find it a little odd if you get on an interstate highway trying to drive that horse and buggy with cars going, 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. But that is a possibility, and it's still available.
You might get arrested for drunk driving. That is still a possibility. You can still drive your horse and buggy. You still have to live by the laws of the land and the norms of and society's agreements.
Yes. And I think that's where we are now in no one's trying to, and this is what it seems when one of the conversations that the right, the left, and the middle are having, they perceive that things are options and things are being taken away, and those options are still there, but they still have consequences. You can't have these things without consequences. And I think what serves us best is I found that Ernest Holmes said something to this effect, and I'm paraphrasing: if the thing that's being done does not promote life, pure life, then it is not serving us to the best of its ability, or to the best of our ability. And that's a humanistic, simple question we can ask about things we're doing that affects us individually or collectively. Does this promote holistic life, knowing that there will be ups and downs, there will be tough decisions, but in the grand scheme of things, does it support life?
Yep. Our dear brother down in Albuquerque area, New Mexico, Abe Robertson says, Abe Robertson Gordon says, it takes me back to Bush 1 saying, I will never apologize for America ever. We need to ditch and heal that way of thinking. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to, and if we don't, I'm not going down the road of what happens if we don't. We're going to. It's going to happen, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, and that begs the statement: if you want to keep getting what you're getting, keep doing what you're doing. It's a very simple thing. If you want to do something, get something different, change.
Yes. All right, folks, we have completely run out of time. We've been in overtime for far too long now on this program today, and we are pushing into territory we're not supposed to be in on a Friday morning. So we want to thank you for being with us. Please stay tuned to the New Thought Media Network. We've got our full day of programming, including our premiere programming starting at 10 a.m. Mountain Time with Practicing in Infinite Possibilities and Lindsay Lieback. The Joy Show with Reverend Barbara Jean is on at 1 o'clock today. The Good News starts at 5 o'clock, and I'm off this week, so it's Reverend Barbara Jean sitting in on the Good News. I encourage you to check that out. She does a great job. I love having her as my fill-in host there on that program, so join us for that. 6 o'clock, it is the Fireside Chat with Reverend Michael Mangus as well. We'll be back tomorrow morning with our Science of Mind and Spirit conversation series. Starts at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. No matter when you get New Thought Media Network, please like, share, and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, whatever it may be. And we want to say thank you for being being with us. It's a great day to be alive, and it's a great day to make a change in our lives. So again, thank you for being with us. Until next time, we wish you peace and richest blessings.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.